Good afternoon. This is Edwin Patterson. How are you doing today? Hope things are going well for you. Today is the next video on the life and death of Joseph Smith once he had declared for the presidency of the United States in February of 1844, which was a direct link to all things that were going to happen. Now, again, I've told you this before, but this is how I kind of thought of things, and I'm fairly well read. The Nauvoo years were sweet years. They're good years. A lot of good things were happening. But I did not realize the subtext. And the subtext came from two places. Warsaw, Illinois, to the south, 12 miles south, and Carthage to the southeast. There were people there who desired to kill Joseph, to take him out. Well, why would that be? What's the problem? It began with the growth of the church. 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 10,000, 11,000, 15,000. From 39 to 43, the growth was enormous. The people of England and of Europe were coming on boat. The missionaries were in the Northeast and in the Midwest, converting people, sending them to Nauvoo. It was growing. So what's the big deal still? Just a lot of Mormons. Well, the issue was political. And it exhibited itself in 1843. In 1843, there was a state election. And different people who had interest in being elected would come to Joseph or to the church and say, this is what I believe in, you should vote for me. And what people saw on the outside, and it wasn't necessarily planned or just happened that way, was Mormons voted in block. So if Joseph said, well, I think that guy's a pretty good guy, we probably should vote for him, there was no command, hey, you've got to vote for anyone. But they did vote for who he said. So in 43, they elected a state legislature. Hiram said, that's interesting. I think I will run for the state legislature next year in 44. So he was going to do that. All the anti saw was this political powerful body, the most politically powerful body in Illinois. They could determine who the governor was, who the state representatives were, and in the election of 44 for president, they could cast Illinois to whoever they desired because they had the most bodies and they intended to vote en masse for the same person. That riled the antis tremendously. They already had a anti-Mormon party, Big A, whose sole desire was to kill Joseph Smith, to run the people out or kill them and take over Nauvoo. So this was building from 1840, 41, 42, 43, began to manifest itself. And the way it was manifesting itself was the people in Carthage and Warsaw were saying to other people, the anti-people in Missouri, in Iowa, and Illinois, you better start moving down this way because we're going to take care of these people. The reward is we're going to take over that city and y'all going to get good stuff. I wasn't aware of the amount of people. So the calculation was the Nauvoo Legion had about 4,000 men in it. The antis decided they needed about 10,000 men to take over Nauvoo in spite of the Mormon Legion. And so they began coming in 43, late 43, from Missouri, from Iowa, from Illinois. And Warsaw and Carthage were two main places that were there. Because they didn't want the Mormons to have power politically over them. That seemed all wrong to them. And so they built this amazing apparatus of how do we get Joseph? Now the biggest problem they had was how do we get him out of Nauvoo? Because Nauvoo had its own charter, had its own military. I've often heard, well, that the Nauvoo charter was really a special one for them. It was written by John C. Bennett, who was smart, he was a lawyer, and did have good things in it, but it wasn't unlike anyone else. So every city or town in Illinois had the right to have a group to defend it. So the Nauvoo Legion wasn't surprising or unique, but it was well run. And there's 4,000 little sunny guns. So the Antis decided they needed 8,000 to 10,000 Antis surrounding the city to overtake them. That was one plan. And he started gathering people 6 months, 7 months before Joseph was killed to come, prepare. And a lot came. The second potential was, can we get Joseph out of the city over to Carthage, which is the county seat? Because if we get him there, we can kill him. And many things were built in preparation for that. One of them was the Nauvoo Expositor, run by two good brothers who left the church and who wanted to help the Antis get Joseph out. So they came in big and bold. They had a printing press. They set up shop. Out came their first edition, and it was a hellacious set of lies. The city council met. Joseph's head of the city council. What are we going to do? They went through the machinations. They decided, okay, here's what our charter lets us do. And so they agreed. They went down. They tore the expositor's printing press out onto the street and burned it. Now, a lot of people think, well, that's why he was sent to Carthage and to be killed. That was a ploy, but it was not the ploy. But that started the wheels moving. The Governor Ford says, that was bad, Joseph. We're going to have to do some things here about that. We want you to come to Carthage to stand trial for it. And Joseph said, no, I'll stay here and try and be tried, but not over there. I know what's over there. I know what will happen over there. And so the pressures were mounting, the political pressures. Again, if the Mormons had the ability to vote en masse, and now there's 15, 17, 18, 20,000 Mormons and more still coming, they were a huge block of voters that would dominate Illinois' vote. Now we go to the national theme here. So Joseph's running for president against, again, men. There's no one there's no Abe Lincoln in this race. There are 4 or 5 different men. And they've gone to them and said, what do you believe and what do you think? And they told them, and none of them seemed worthy. That's one of the reasons why Joseph decided to run for president, because either he was going to get elected and bring a righteous dominion over America, or they were going to leave for the West. Those were the 2 options. And that was way before Brigham decided back in 1845, 46, 47. This was already a decided deal. They were going to go if Joseph couldn't get elected. And the answers are going, there's no way we're going to let Joseph get elected. They didn't know if he'd get elected or not this year in 1844. They were worried about 1848 because all they saw was the church growing, growing, growing. Again, I didn't have the knowledge of just how much was going on within the church and the numbers of the church at this time. The missionaries were doing a heck of a job in Europe and in America. So the expositor happened. A warrant was sent for Joseph's arrest. Joseph knew. And the arrest was for Joseph and Hiram, both. Both the men knew, if we go to Carthage, we will be killed. They met again with the city council and told them this. What should we do? We don't know. We don't know. Other than obey the law, we don't know. So Joseph decided on his own, whether through revelation or not, I don't know. If I can get out and away, this will blow over. This is all about me, not the people here. So he and Hiram left. And this is on June 21st, 22nd, went across the Mississippi to a group of Mormons over in Iowa. They were going to bring their families over and head west. They were the head west people now. Made a decision, a big decision. Now this is right where the antis want Joseph Smith, antis of today, because it will reveal his character. He's a runaway. He's afraid. He doesn't want to get killed, and so he bails with any pressure. But Joseph's going to show an amazing quality about himself very, very soon. The next morning, his wife sends him a letter. Joseph, the conditions here in Nauvoo are not good. The people are afraid because you're gone. They feel like you've abandoned them. You told me that if they stood by you, would stand by them. Come back. Now, I'm sure Emma didn't know what was going to happen, but that was the letter he got. And at that time, he then said, this is who I am. If my friends see no value in me running, then what have I got to run from? I will go back and I will stand for what is right. And back they came over to Nauvoo. Now this is just before they're arrested on the riot charge for the expositor. That's not what's going to hold him, but that's what they're going to arrest him on. He spends the night with his family. He doesn't go down the street, doesn't go to a meeting. He spends it with Emma and his children. Now, you may not know this. Emma's pregnant at this time, 4 months pregnant. They know she's pregnant. He says, Emma, you're going to have a boy. I want you to name the boy David. How would he know? It was a boy, and he was named David. Beautiful child who died a horrific death down the roadways. So he's with his wife, he's with his family, he's consoling them. I'm going to go. We'll see what happens. They leave. They meet a colonel coming from Carthage over to Nauvoo. And guess what he's coming for? We've come to confiscate all of your weapons that have been given to you by the state. Now they had, again, a Nauvoo legion. Some of those guns and cannons were given by the state. The state does for all the larger establishments in the state. Joseph goes, well, okay, I'll go back with you and tell the people to give up those arms and those cannons. Those arms and cannons went straight to the antis as soon as they got them. Remarkable. As Joseph now, the second time now, is going out to Carthage, he says, I'm going like a lamb to the slaughter. He knows nothing good is going to come as he leaves Nauvoo for the last time. Now, let me digress. So the antis say Joseph was just a money-mongering guy. He just wanted fame, fortune, money, power. He had no character, or any character he had was bad. He created the Book of Mormon for money. He created the church to get people in for power. Well, they can believe what they want. But Joseph is showing over and over in this most difficult of times who he is. He would rather leave to Carthage than have this swarm of about 10,000 antis that surround Nauvoo come in and destroy them, like Far West again. And so he goes off. Now, when he gets to Nauvoo, or to Carthage, the next video will be more about that. But there's an amazing thing that happens that I was never aware of. There was an eyewitness to all of this, everything that happened in Carthage. He wrote a book about it and published it and sold it for 25 cents a copy. He was not a Mormon, but he participated with the mobs so to kind of see what was going on. He was a friend of the church, but he saw insightfully what happened in the death of Joseph. The next video will talk about him and what he saw and what he wrote, this fellow would become the prime witness in the trial of the persecutors and killers of Joseph Smith, because he was there and he saw it all. Well, what would happen then? What didn't happen at the court hearing, the trial? That's down to 2 or 3 more, but you're getting the gist, and the gist is hard times are coming. When Joseph gets to Carthage, he's going to be presented with the testament of, hey, you have caused a riot by destroying that printing press. I'll tell you why that wasn't what held him. That wasn't why he was put in jail and killed. These tricky little son of a guns, the Antis, had another lawsuit, much, much more powerful, that they're going to bring to bear on him, that will allow them to hold him in Carthage, in the jail, until he's killed. Okay, that's next. See you soon.